It is a the show. We bring to you the three biggest, most impactful, most important, most interesting stories of the month that you need to know. I am joined, as always, by my brilliant co-host. I always forget the arrow thing always messes me up. Hillary Houghton from Your Social HQ. Hillary, how's it going?
Ross, doing great. How about you?
Hello. I am loving this fall weather. I know everyone loves weather talk, but let me tell you, Austin used to live on the sun, and right now it is fall, which is my favorite season. Oh, so lovely.
I love fall, and I didn't get to enjoy fall for 10 years when I lived in Arizona because I would walk outside and it would still be 100 something. So this is golden for me. I'm here for it.
How long did you go without fall?
10 years.
That's an incomplete life.
Ross,
That's
10
like
years.
that. I don't even know. My wife makes fun of me. We went through winters and whatnot in DC and New York, but I pine every day of fall. Like, remember when we could go apple picking? It seems like the most basic thing, but going apple picking, in a crisp fall day, drinking some hot cider.
It's truly heartwarming.
Heaven.
It's the best thing in the world. I know. I'm a real fall foliage girl, so this is we're getting to my good spot.
Yeah. And I went to school in the mountains of North Carolina. You're talking foliage. I mean, that's foliage country right there. And
yeah,
it was
we didn't have that
a dream. So I am loving the fall, cool weather. For businesses out there, this also starts to mean we're rolling into fourth quarter. So hopefully some of the things we're going to talk about today, you can take with you into your last quarter of 2020. Thank God. 2020 is almost over. I don't know if it's going to get better, but at least it'll be over. I mean, good God.
I keep saying to myself, oh yeah, 2020 is going to be over. And then I remember that, the universe doesn't really care about the calendar year.
I don't believe you. It knows. It knows. The Mayans were right. This was the year where it was disaster. And oh God, I hope it gets better. Oh my God, I hope it gets better.
Yeah.
Can I also comment on two things? One, new background, loving it. And two,
wallpaper.
Again, no fun bun. I mean, I don't even understand what I have to do. I don't want to listen, I'm not mansplaining here. That is not what I want to do. But when we first met, we somehow you talked to me about understanding the amount of fun based on bun position.
Yes, it's a very accurate correlation.
Yes. And your hair's always down when we do the show. So it feels like I'm just
Last month I had a fun bun.
All right, I'll consult the video. I guess I can go back and
I mean, I'll be honest with you. The biggest determining factor is if I worked out that morning or not. If I worked out that morning, fun bun is in. If I did not work out like today.
Same with me. You can totally
no longer. I was gonna say your story yesterday looked very Rico Suave with that hair that you had going on.
I may need to take it down even shorter. I got flyaways. I got stuff going on. This isn't I don't want to talk about it anymore. This Q4
COVID hair.
Q4 COVID hair is next show. So thank you for joining us. I want to remind anyone out there tuned in, if you have questions or comments during this broadcast, questions or whatever, drop them in the comments, whether you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook. Hit us up. Let us know. I will gladly stop whatever nonsense we're doing and answer questions. We love to hear from you guys. So if you have questions about any of this stuff, please let us know. So let's start with something. We have a jam-packed show today. But I do want to start with an announcement. It's a biggie here. Did you know today is Podcast Day? International Podcast Day, Hillary. You definitely knew that. It's circled on your calendar every year.
I saw all of your posts about it this morning. So how could I miss it?
You saw all my posts. That's the only way you knew. I'll take it. Okay. So if you're out there and you are looking to be a better marketer, if you're looking to be a smarter marketer, or even if you're just an entrepreneur, please check out the Tricycle Creative podcast. It is called Tripod. You can get it anywhere that you get your podcast. You can also listen online at tripodpodcast.com. I've even had some really great shows where I had this guest. Her name was Hillary. She was really smart about things, and that's pretty much what led me to have her on a recurring show every month.
She sounds horrible.
She's great, except I can't, when we do audio shows, I'm assuming her hair is always in a fun bun. So they're so much fun when we talk about them. And so, yeah, check it out. Subscribe, tripodpodcast.com. And before we jump into our 3 marketing stories you need to know for the month, we do have a sponsor I would like to talk about, CMIT Solutions of Round Rock. They have a brilliant slogan, which I think is just spot on with what they do. They worry about IT, so you don't have to. Managed IT services, backup and recovery, cybersecurity and compliance, network services, 24/7 support. They do it all for IT. If you are a small business, or even if you're an individual, I can appreciate that some of these things you can manage, or maybe you don't need yourself. But if you are a small business and you have multiple employees, part-time, full-time, whatever, you want to be on top of this stuff. IT security, network, connectivity, all those things. CMIT Solutions of Round Rock, they can help you. The website right there, cmitsolutions.com/round-rock. You can also give them a call at 512-628-9507. Smart guys, smarter than me. And Jeff over there at CMIT Solutions has helped me figure out my backup solutions, because I have a lot of video and audio and nonsense stuff. So, okay. So let's get rolling here into our first topic. We do. Oh, wait, actually, before we get started, I should probably just share this, Hillary, this is like in the locker room. No, this is like in the locker room before like a game, they get pumped. This is what I want to show you.
Oh my goodness.
Love it when you have Hillary on the show. You're already getting a shout out. So, I mean, what a shout out here already. So, and also we have another comment in here from Alicia Taylor. Alicia, thank you for tuning in. She needs CMIT to manage her kids' computers for virtual learning. I have seen many people pulling their hair out with virtual learning. I can't guarantee that CMIT Solutions can help you with that, but they definitely know how to do that kind of thing for sure.
Oh my gosh, if they can't, that is a market worth getting into.
I mean, right now it is a hot market of people pulling their hair out with their kids' online e-learning. So our first topic continues from last month and the month before that, and it is the TikTok ticker tape. And that is, what the heck's going on with TikTok? I know a lot of you out there may be saying, I don't care. Well, you need to care, and we're not going to spend a ton of time on this, but you need to care because it is important to understand, putting your digital marketing eggs in respective baskets. So I think this is a story. This is a relatively new platform. And I think it's just an interesting thing to keep track of. I anticipate, knock on wood, Hillary, by next month, are we going to have a TikTok solution, do you think? That was a knock on wood.
I don't know. But here's what I do think. I see TikTok as one of those back and forth, trying to pressure, closing the deal, getting them bought out by a US company, having all of those structures in place. I don't see them being able to cut the deal, transition, and get it into American good standing, if you will, just based on what the concerns have been around it. That full transition is not going to happen in a month. There's no way. So I would say early 2021 is when I see that transition really happening for TikTok. But that being said, I don't think TikTok's going away. So I think that the judge who, put that junction in to make sure that they can't actually kick TikTok off of the App Store is the first step in saying, no, let's give them the right ample amount of time to go through the process of getting bought out or, getting acquired and, getting into good standing. But to think it can happen lightning fast is just a little silly.
Yeah. And I think, the deal was, I don't know if tacitly approved is the right word, but was approved for this combo of Walmart and Oracle to acquire TikTok's US operations type thing. And then, interestingly enough, and I don't know if you caught this, in the past month, Walmart has been rolling out and promoting their, I think it's Walmart Plus. It might be W Plus, but they're like online, Prime, coming right at Prime. They're Prime competitor. And again, these things are not coincidence.
No.
We have to believe that they would integrate, I am sure, the technology at the very least from TikTok into whatever that platform is going to be.
W plus. I mean, yeah, it's not like some billionaire is like, oh, I'm feeling TikTok. I kind of want to buy it. There has to be a business decision that is strategic for other projects that are going on. So while I am one who's scratching my head, you saying that makes complete sense because there has to be some larger business decision.
Yeah, and I think that's, we saw that get approved, but not like there's no ink on a dotted line yet, right? It was like in theory. It was like approved in theory, if you will, by the president and the administration. But then it didn't get done. The deal didn't get done, so they were going to block all new downloads. And that, as recently, I feel like as this past weekend, was blocked. That injunction was like, hey, you can't block yet. So it's just at a complete standstill right now. But when this picks up, it's like an avalanche, right? Don't you feel it? Because we exchange stories and we comment on them throughout the month to each other to prep for the show. And I just feel like when like one thing happens with TikTok, it's like like a million other things happen.
There's a lot of theories too, though. I mean, the only people who really know what's going on in the deal are the folks who are in the room working out the deal and the ones who are going back and negotiating the terms and the ones that are, with the Trump administration who are going to be arguing over whether or not TikTok is a national security threat. So there's really a limited amount of folks who actually know what's really going on, and then a ton of speculation because, like we've talked about in the past, it's not just about TikTok, it's about the implication for all social media channels, all digital platforms, and how businesses use those to the point where if they put all of their eggs in TikTok's basket or in Facebook's basket or in Google's basket, and then they decide to nix the app or they decide to nix, to your point earlier, the cookies, I mean, it's just your entire business that you've put into those platforms goes away. So that's where we can talk all day about the importance of owned channels and your website and your email list. Those are factors that you own. Those are data points that you own through what you've been bringing in on digital marketing, through what you have been cultivating in your other marketing avenues. But to think that you own your Instagram or that you own your TikTok, there's bigger fish at play that can really make an impact on those channels.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize when it comes to value, how valuable something is to you.
Yeah.
People on your email list is the most valuable thing that you can have. I'm going to repeat that. Your email list is your most valuable thing you can have, because the gatekeeper between you and those people is practically non-existent. There's, like you can email them freely, right? There's no one in between. There's no crossing guard. There's no pay the toll to get to them, which is what all social media, let's just call it all social media, you have to pay that toll. It may not always be money, but there's a toll to be paid, and you're never going to reach 100% of your audience.
Yeah,
with email doesn't exist.
It is money. Your time is money. What you put out into your content, the time that you put into creating it, the time that you invest into vendors to be able to do it for you, all of that is cash. So, but to your point as well, a lot of small business owners that I talk to, they say, oh, well, I bought this email list. And I was like, please don't do that. Don't buy email lists. That's not the same value as someone coming to your website, seeing your content, seeing what your services are, and saying, I'm in. I want to be a part of this. I am going to opt in with my email.
Yeah.
That is what Ross is talking about.
Yes.
Online,
you earn them.
My email list. No, don't do it.
You earn them. And that's actually, I'm actually glad you kind of brought that up. So I'm working on a video right now. I went out there. I went out and I did something because I wanted to come back down from the mountain and share what it was. I'm going to be completely transparent on it. I bought some YouTube views. I was so curious about it. Right? Yeah. I'm like, this is very interesting to me. Yep. This concept of buying YouTube views. So that's going to be a video coming probably in the next 2 weeks. I'm working on it right now. But if you want to learn more, or I guess the outcome, the consequences, the good, the bad, I was the guinea pig. I guinea pigged myself because I was like, I have to learn. I want to bring this to people because everyone's looking for that fast solution, the quick solution, right? And I just so wanted to, again, come back with the learnings from it. So that's a video that I'm working on, will be coming soon on my YouTube channel. And with that, I feel like we've covered this TikTok update pretty good. I feel good about where we're at. Are you ready for topic number 2?
Let's go.
Okay. I'm going to hit my bell. Wait, I got to move my cursor over here. Okay. All right. Apple versus Facebook. Dun, dun, dun. Specifically, we're talking about iOS 14, right? Why don't you, I'm going to hand the baton to you, Hillary. You want to talk? You want to do the intro of what's happening here?
Sure. So Apple's new iOS, which is essentially their entire system of the phone and how it interfaces with the user, how it interfaces with your data, and how it shares that data with other apps. All of that is up in the air, changing. And I think part of it is that Apple has decided that transparency is one of the areas that consumers over and over and over again say, this is something that is incredibly important to me. I think it's like 70 to 80% of consumers say that privacy is important to them. And that privacy has been what has been really appealing and attractive for app developers, because brands like Facebook have created these apps using user data that are on your phone. And this is where TikTok gets into a lot of sticky water, because how much data is being shared with TikTok. But what is really interesting with iOS 14 is that they are limiting and closing the amount of data that apps are going to be able to get on their users.
And so when we just talked about Gatekeeper. Apple is now operating as a gatekeeper to the data, to the other gatekeeper. This is like going
Fort Knox, man.
This is like going through the state of Delaware and you hit a toll every 10 feet. You know, it's like toll, 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 toll. Just when you think you could avoid them, you can't. But this is really interesting because, should I bring this here? I plugged in my phone. I don't know if there's anything on this one that we need to bring up on this, but for those of you, well, you know what? I'm going to do it. Let's do it. Let me bring this thing up. Give me a second here. Give me again.
I'll go ahead and give you a second while you get that up and say that, especially with the difference in this data though, and what I've been hearing from other consumers is that with the update, even though it hasn't been fully integrated yet to date, it's on the horizon, and there's parts of the iOS update that have impacted already social media channels. And so if you have logged into your newsfeed on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook in the last week or two and felt like it was just a little bit different, you were seeing stories that were a little bit different, you were hearing from friends that you don't normally hear from, there's a reason for that. And that's because the data that usually is easily, from your behaviors, from what you say, from what you write in your emails, all of that goes into, and it's not like someone from Facebook can go in and say, I want to look up Ross Erosion and I want to see what, what he's doing. That's not the way it works. It's more metadata of how this information is being used. But nonetheless, the algorithm is always updating to meet the needs of where you're at. So now that it is not going to have as easy of a transition with that data, your newsfeed is going to lose a lot of the personalization. So whether or not that's a good thing, as far as if you've seen Social Dilemma and you're now concerned about your addiction to these channels because they're giving you content that you crave, or if you're worried because now it isn't as enjoyable of a platform as it once was for you and you feel like you're not getting what you want to see. For example, if you're looking at TikTok and saying, I love cat videos, but now I'm getting dance videos and I don't care about dance videos.
Or dog videos.
Yeah. So that's the difference.
And I think that's like, you have to be an active, as much as you can, be an active participant in this too, right? I would say like even when it comes to Facebook newsfeed personalization, you do have control on that. I mean, to Facebook's credit, it can get super granular, and how you set that up and who you share what with. I also wanted to share my screen. Look, you've updated to iOS 14, right, Hillary?
Not.
You haven't. Look at this. Look at this widget up here. Look at that. Look at that weather in Austin. Look how lovely it is, in case you didn't believe me.
Like I wait for the first round to go out, and then I'm like, okay, no one had any problems. Sure, we'll download.
Listen, I'd like to think I'm a very truthful person. Apple, 10 years after Android does it, is bringing widgets to the table, and they're like, look at what we're doing, widgets. We're like, hey, no one else is doing. Like, all right, just relax, Apple. Like, people have been doing that forever. But I want to hold on a second here. There's something else here that I wanted to. So you can actively opt in to add tracking. And this is where the iOS acts as the gatekeeper before you get to Facebook, at least making you aware that this stuff is happening. If you decide you want to keep it on always, okay, great. But the new iOS and new OS, even for Apple, and again, sorry, Android folks, I don't know what to tell you, but I'm sure this stuff exists, but I don't know about it. Yeah. The new Apple OSs are incredibly privacy, security focused, and at the very least telling you what's going on in the background.
Yeah.
And that's a huge step, at least giving you the power and control to choose. Like, do I want to leave this on all the time? Do I want to leave it on? Do I want to turn it off? Do I want to leave it on when the app is running? Right. Yep. And only when the app is running.
Yeah.
And Facebook likes to always be running.
Yeah, I think that there's going to be a little bit of a literacy curve though with the average consumer. So you've got people who don't understand this. You have people who watch Social Dilemma on Netflix that are mind blown at how it works, and they don't understand the positive side of sharing your data, which is ultimately you're not going to be targeted for kids stuff if you don't have kids. You're not going to be targeted for things that you need. You're going to, if you're a man or a woman or, whatever it may be, you're going to be targeted for things that mean absolutely nothing to you if you are not opting into some type of data privacy or data, opt-in. So that is where I think there's a little bit of a literacy curve that folks are going to have to start getting comfortable, and they should understand the implications of data, both the good side and the not so good side. But that's going to throw a huge curve for businesses who are trying to attract their customers and also for their analytics. So if you're only able to target 10% of who you used to be able to target, your data set might actually look really different when you're looking at your analytics, both from a reach standpoint, from a cost standpoint, and then also from a demographic standpoint. You might find that you're reaching more people who are in cities, who are, in more creative fields or more technology fields, because they know what they're doing, they know what they're getting out of it, and they're comfortable with it. and other areas, you're not going to really know. So I think it's important as marketers to just keep an eye on those and know that there's a good chance that those numbers are going to change.
And I think that's when it comes to digital marketing, we joked about this, but like digital marketing will keep you young because you always got to be on your toes. And I think that's where for our respective clients, you know, I can appreciate and understand that challenge. And it's our job as, I'm not going to say experts because, you know, I hate that word, as people with expertise and professionals in the field to explain that and explain these changes, explain these updates, and work with clients on solutions, right? Because it is incredibly difficult to navigate this stuff because it literally, to your point, can change overnight. If Google decides to, again, remove cookies, then Facebook's targeting and remarketing, the bottom will fall out of it, right? And if you're heavily invested, if you're leaning your business 90% on that, that's going to fall away, right? And that's not to say you have to have despair about it. It's not to say that you have no other recourse after that. But it is to say you need to understand, okay, what do I do now, right? Or how do I diversify, right? I mean, that's the thing. I think it's just about diversification and where my audience is coming from, where, you know, like how are they finding me, understanding those components. That's really where analytics comes in and is a huge part, or should be a huge part of anyone's digital marketing strategy.
Yep.
So,
you know who's making a comeback though, since we're talking about
MySpace. MySpace Tom. No. Okay, that was my only guess.
Direct mail.
Direct mail. You're totally right. Yes.
Direct mail, man.
However,
everyone is home.
I know you're right. Direct mail is making a comeback, but it is a double hard time right now because it's election season too. So there's a lot of direct mail noise additionally, but you're 100% right. Yeah. Like direct mail is making a strong comeback because
after November, direct mail, consider it. And there's something to be said too about having multiple channels, the omni-channel approach when it comes to marketing. It's not just, you know, Ross and I are not going to say that digital marketing is the only way, but it is an extremely important way.
Yeah, I would never say that.
Yeah.
I would never. And like sometimes my clients are befuddled by that, but I'm like, no, I encourage a holistic multi-channel approach.
Yes.
Digital is just one of them, particularly if you're like a startup or a solopreneur. I'm going to tell you, for your first year as a startup or solopreneur, you're probably going to get a lot of your business through like networking and people you know and friends and friends of friends. That's a very realistic aspect of year one of starting. If you just want to pump money into digital, like ads wise, I would be extremely hesitant to move that.
Yep. And that brings up a really good point about the importance of building connection, because networking is exactly how you should approach social media and how you should approach your marketing, because it's not just about sending your message out, getting people to see it, having the constant buy. It's about how are you building that trust, that rapport, so that when people hear, similar to a networking event, you go in, you meet somebody, 2-3 weeks later, they are meeting somebody else and they say, oh, I need help with social media marketing. And they say, oh, I've got somebody who I met. Great. And that's the referral and the word of mouth that eventually, once you get a good baseline and trust, digital marketing and other factors can really help scale that so that you're getting referred to by people you've never even met. But that first foundational year, or even sometimes up to 5 years, is really crucial.
100%. I mean, that's how I built my business started. Was working in people. And I'm a digital marketer. I still obviously incorporated aspects of digital marketing and content. But I'm going to tell you out there, if you're watching this, there is no silver bullet. If you think there's just one thing that's going to do it all and move the needle, you're wrong. That doesn't mean that some might be more successful, effective, efficient, cost-friendly. Great. But there is not I just need to do this one thing and then I'm done, like,
Wouldn't that be so nice?
oh, it'd be a dream. It
I
would
would
be
love that.
just
I
a
would love to
complete
just go in and send one little email every day and then go,
dream.
do my workout, put my fun bun on. I don't know.
do more rewind shows with Ross. She didn't say that. I said that.
Oh, right.
I don't believe you. I don't believe it for a second. Just kidding. Okay. So this brings us nicely to topic number 3 today. And that is a pretty significant Facebook ads update. So this is major. I think this is pretty major. Do you think this is major?
It's major for people who have been in the space.
There you go. Okay. Sure.
Every
Which is major to me.
Is like, what?
Wait, what? Yeah. So here's the thing. For those of you who have never run or worked with Facebook ads prior to, I even want to say this week, you had to adhere to a very strict policy they had that you could not have more than 20% of your image text. So what they wanted to do, and I think have been incredibly successful at doing, is blur the line between content and advertising. So this was their policy that they put in place, that you couldn't have more than 20% of the image made up of text. And so what does that mean? Okay, I have an image. I can't put sale across it. I can't put it all and if I did that, 2 things would happen. At the start, when they first started, your ad just wouldn't be approved, would be denied. Now, in the past, I'd say year, what would happen is it would get approved, but you would get a notification that it's going to be limited audience because of the text that you're putting in there. And so it's going to be shown to less people because you're breaking the rules, but it's going to like kind of do you a favor. It's going to like do you a solid. Facebook will take your money and do you the solid, right? But it's not going to show it to as many people. Well, this past week, they got rid of that completely. I'm kind of surprised by this.
Shooketh. I think I am surprised and I'm not surprised. Meme culture has really made text on images more cool and hip. So typically, people, especially as they were getting more comfortable with digital marketing, would just take their print ad and they would slap it on Facebook and say, all right, we're good. We're rocking and rolling. And that's not the way that social works. So I think that 20% rule was put in place to hold design up to a higher standard when it came to social, so that it was still social. It was image first, it was video first, it was story first. That's really where social
content first.
Content first. I think I'm gonna have to go here without saying content.
We can't do it's an impossible task. I know.
But it's interesting because now that they're allowing it back in, I think a lot of it has to do with meme culture. So memes are the sassy.
I love a good meme.
I love a good meme too. But it's going to be interesting to see how quickly it gets abused. So if you're trying to say, all of this text on there, you're trying to replicate what you did with print, or you're just trying to just have all of your words on the image instead of just putting it in the caption, we'll see what the fallout is. I have high hopes that we've learned our lesson, but
I'm very curious. Like I said, I think it's been the past year, might have been longer, where they were allowing it, even if you broke the rules, but they showed it to less. I have to think that I would think ascertain some learnings from that experiment, right? To see, so maybe they found out that even if you break the 20% rule, most people aren't doing it egregiously. But again, most people that are doing it grew up, were raised, if you will, in the ecosystem of, oh, I know I'm not allowed to do that, but let me try it. Or I could have swore this was less than 20% or what have you. So like they were raised like in that environment, knowing that was the rule.
And still asking, can we make the logo
bigger?
But a little bigger.
It's a meme. So I'm with you. I'm going to be like very curious about my feed to see how much has changed. But I will say this, I think those who egregiously abuse this will pay the price when it comes to results.
Yeah.
And I know that Facebook wants to keep their playground clean, but at the end of the day, it's like, okay, we'll still take your money. You want to run the ad and then you don't have a graphic designer who can fix it and you just want to slap this image up there. All right, we'll take your money at scale. We'll take $50 from 250,000 small businesses who want to do that, and then maybe we'll turn it off. I wonder if this is all related to the runaway from a couple months ago of the major. I don't think they're directly related. I think these are separate. But again, interesting to see this comes now.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. I still think that the biggest question for if big companies, big tech are going to walk away from Facebook advertising is going to be with changes like the iOS update. Because that's where, at the end of the day, if your customers are there, if you have a direct way to get in front of them at a cost-effective rate, businesses are going to still do that because money talks. And that's what's going to drive them. The whole boycotting Facebook ads, like I've said, I think it's a little fishy. At the same time, that coronavirus was really hitting. People were kind of pulling back on budgets because they were either hitting the end of their fiscal or they were just in a scramble because they were being held to a higher standard by their shareholders. So there's a lot to be said about the data that's going to change whether or not people are still going to see as high of a value in advertising on Facebook.
Yeah, I think it'll be very interesting. We'd like to track these stories on this show every month to see if there are any evolution. I think it is conceivable that this might go back into place. I mean, I'm not a technology person. I don't know nearly enough about how to turn this on or off. But, I think if it becomes incredibly egregious, Facebook will just turn it, it's their platform. They'll just turn it back on again, and everyone will be like, what the hell, man? Come on.
It's still a rich platform, though. I mean, people are still using Facebook. Groups have grown tremendously. Facebook groups and communities
a lot this year.
And they've done great with it. So there's still a lot on Facebook. And I mean, for 5 years, people have been saying, well, Facebook's dying. Facebook's dying. I'm like, Facebook monthly users are still going up. The rate at which they're going up is not as drastic as it used to be, but it's still going up. So I say don't sleep on it and don't abuse that lack of 20% rule. Still stick with it.
Now you can put whatever ad you want up there, ugly or not. Sorry, folks. That was true. Yeah. All right. So we usually do 3 stories on this show, but we have a bonus story for September because you out there, you need it. You need the bonus. You said to me, 3 stories is not enough. I need a bonus this month because this is the pits, this 2020. I said, okay, so that's what we're going to do. So our bonus literally has come about because of yesterday. You were promoting our show, okay? And my phone was locked, and I got a bloop notification, okay? And at first I was like, oh, I just read it wrong. And it said, LinkedIn story. Wait, what? LinkedIn story. What the holy hell is that? Well, let me share my screen and I will show you this new fangled thing. All right. Oh, look at that. Hillary Houghton. What a great person. I know her. She's smart. Okay. So here's my LinkedIn. Now, this looks a lot like Facebook. What the hell? These things on the top. Look at this. These are okay. Now, to create a LinkedIn story, you hit the post, and now you got a whole bunch of things down here. And one of them is share. I assume you walk me through this actually, because you did this. I haven't done one of these yet. I assume it's share a story, and that's what you do to create it.
You can do that. You can also hit at the front at your homepage. You can hit the button where it says plus.
Oh, just like on. Okay. No. Oh, wait. This is so we were talking about iOS 14.
Yeah.
This is huge. If and when you upgrade to iOS 14, you're going to have to do this for every single app on your phone.
Again.
And I like that. Yeah. Again. Yeah.
They just want to make sure that you really do.
Are you sure? Are you really sure? Okay. We're looking at my keyboard right now. It's dirty. Let's flip that around. Hold on. Okay. So that's even worse. Okay. We'll look at my keyboard here. We'll look at my happy birthday, Polly. Here we go. Okay. So this is LinkedIn Stories. Now you've done this. You were raving about this.
I love it. I am a huge fan of this.
Why?
I just am.
That sounded more accusatory than I needed it to be. Sorry.
Why?
Why? You're an idiot. Get out of here.
What is wrong with you? I'll say this. When Instagram zucked Snapchat and stole stories from them,
yeah,
I was a little bit like, man, that's so rude that you just blatantly take that interface. But then I loved Instagram stories. I think it's a really great way and a format for you to connect with your audience and share your day-to-day, share your behind the scenes, or just add extra opportunities to provide value for your customers. So from a personal standpoint, I loved it to learn more about other folks, other friends of mine, family. And then from a professional standpoint, I loved it because I was getting inside access to business professionals that I admired, colleagues of mine that I could learn from outside of work. And it just expanded the network opportunity. And I loved it. And it was a lot less polished than the feed. And especially right now, LinkedIn, I think, is at a point where you have these monologues of people who are saying, this dramatic story of a girl came in for an interview, return. She was wearing a wet jacket, return.
That's a Penthouse forum. I read that last. I mean, what? No, I don't know anything about that. What?
It's like a pseudo storytelling of like everyone's trying to Brene Brown you.
Okay, but I gotta say, let me play devil's advocate on that. Like, not because I'm gonna write that. I've never had a girl come in for an interview and it's.
I'm like, do I need to go and look at your LinkedIn history?
No, here's the thing. I feel like in the past 3 months, I was high on LinkedIn beginning of the year. I was loving it. I don't know if it was algorithmic. I don't know if everyone just flocked to it. It just seemed different the last, I would say, 3 to 4 months. It seemed, and this is weird to say because I know it is a news feed. It seemed just noisier with things I wasn't interested in.
Two reasons for that.
Okay.
COVID.
Yeah.
Election year.
I will say, though, not a lot of it was politics, thank God. I almost feel like LinkedIn was my one escape a little bit from the politics.
I see politics on LinkedIn.
All the time?
All the time.
That's surprising to me.
It is. And I think that there's a part of people who right now are transitioning to work from home life and the cross between, you never talked about your kids with your boss, but now your boss sees your kids running around in the background when you're on a Zoom call, and that you have to, from a leadership standpoint, get comfortable with the lines being, crossed a little bit, but also you need to still have those lines that you're separating what is professional and what's not professional. And I think that there's a lot going on in the world right now where that line is very blurred. There's not really you don't talk about politics at the dinner table. That theory is out now. You don't talk about, issues and rights in the workplace. That's out now because it should be something that you're, consistently growing and evolving as a business. But that for LinkedIn as a platform for people who are still learning, are you using LinkedIn Stories and enjoying it?
No. I'm listening because
I posted about this on LinkedIn Stories as you were pulling it up. So
what the heck? How could you?
We went real meta
I need
here.
your full attention at all times, Hillary.
I
Okay.
am sorry I cannot give it to you.
Well, let me also say this. I'm going to interrupt. I think also that politics has become blurry with brand marketing and image also, which I think is but like, I think when we're talking about this on the LinkedIn as a professional platform, right? I feel like that almost businesses, individuals are start to connect, whether intentionally or not, brand identity to our current politics issues, things like that, which I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying it's a reality.
No, it's true. It's human behavior and consumer behavior right now, especially in America, is what was it? Like 60-70% of consumers want to see a brand stand up for take a position on political issues, take a position on human rights issues, which, for me, that's two separate things. Human rights should not be politicized.
Yeah.
And I think that there's companies right now who this year especially, you've been faced with a change in your operations on how are you keeping your workforce motivated? How are you getting used to the new normal? How are you fighting against that nagging feeling of the 9 to 5 where you're saying, I need my employees in the chair at 9 and they can be out by 5? When in reality, it's like that idea is so old school compared to the realities of the year that these challenges have. So you've got kids at home who are learning at home, and that's a real shift for your employees. And I think that companies right now, which is one of the areas I think is great for LinkedIn, is that they're embracing that change, and the companies who are evolving for the benefit of their employees and their employee morale, that is speaking volumes through LinkedIn. Where I think it starts to get a little like, wah, is that people are starting to like, air their personal problems on LinkedIn. And I'm like, okay, we're getting a little bit too far.
I know. And it's like, I hate to be like platform police, but because listen, I'm sure I commit misdemeanors and felonies here and there also, but it's just like, I also wonder, here we go. Microsoft got the old boot. Pa! Got the old, my leg can't go up as high as the camera because I'm not flexible, but Microsoft got the boot for buying TikTok. Maybe they were looking at TikTok to be an expansion of LinkedIn, and now that they're not in the running for that, they're like, all right, well, I mean, it's not that Stories is the fanciest, newest kid in town anymore, but
it is so elementary.
Let's bring that, right? What are you talking about? This is a great story I just made.
And it also
is this what people should be sharing, right?
It's weird. It uploads backwards. I think it shows your newest story first and your oldest story last.
What? Okay, hold on. I'm going to share this.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's a lot of kinks. Ooh, look at that fun bun.
Oh, you're right.
There's a lot of kinks that they have to work out in order for it to be effective. But I do think that it's going to help professionally get some people in touch with industry leaders, with experts in certain areas that they're more curious about. So I do see it as a way to better engage that audience and also bring in a new, younger demographic to networking, because you have your Gen Zers who are graduating college or they're going straight, from high school into working. And networking is such an important part of it. And you're talking to a generation who historically has social anxiety. They struggle with, being able to connect. And so take that into the workforce. How is that going to impact business in the next couple of years? So to bring in a interface that they're comfortable with and help them get access to people who are more senior, do have more experience, are able to give insight into career paths, development, leadership. I think that's I think it's great. I love it. I'm here for it.
So let me ask you this. And we're going to get to our every episode. We do a 3 takeaway at the end. We're going to get to that's how we wrap up our show. So the 3 things you need to take away from this broadcast. But before we do, I have a question for you. And I recognize it exists in somewhat of a vacuum here. But okay. I have Instagram for my business, and I'm on LinkedIn, and obviously for my business. If I had to pick when it comes to stories, Instagram or LinkedIn, what say you, Hillary Houghton?
Oh,
and again,
Instagram.
I know we're in a vacuum. Okay.
Instagram.
Because the audience is there?
Well, in that sense, it depends on what you're talking about. There's actually what I see with LinkedIn, especially for businesses. So if you are a small business owner and you are trying to connect with others in your industry, if you're trying to connect with clients, if you're in a service-based industry, if you're connecting with, VCs, I think that LinkedIn is a great place to talk about your business. I think it's ripe. I think it's not used right now. I would say get in there fast, fail fast, learn hard, go for it. But the general consensus for me is that I have built a following on Instagram. I have people there who I'm able to connect with every day through stories. So it's a tricky question, but I would pick Instagram for now, for me.
And I would say that's, again, I recognize it exists in a bubble, right? And that may not be again, we talked about before, no silver bullet. That's not just because she said that for me or for this. It could change in a month. It could change because of your audience. It could change because of who what you're talking about, and this again is just, okay, another tool in the tool belt, right? That doesn't mean you have to do it. Doesn't mean you have to do it.
But you should try.
You should try. You may find you like it. And then that's where, that's an exercise I do with a lot of my solopreneur small businesses first when it comes to content creation. Like homework assignment, create this content 5 different ways, 8 different ways, right? Which ones come easiest? Which ones do you enjoy the most? Which ones? And that helps to give me and them an idea of, okay, well, let's not fight it. Let's not fight content creation uphill. If you like doing that, if that was easiest, start there. And that would be my piece of advice for anyone out there. If you're not sure where to start with what you enjoy. Start with what comes easiest. That's where you should start. Okay. Now, in the last 8 minutes, we are going to get to our 3 takeaways. Now, this section is sponsored. Oh, give me 1 second here. I'm always navigating. Is sponsored also by CMIT Solutions, Round Rock. We talked about them at the beginning of the show. Thank you so much for sponsoring this month's Rewind show. They're sponsoring your 3 marketing takeaways, and they are encouraging you to make sure that your takeaway from this is that your company has the proper cybersecurity, backup, support, and IT solutions that you need to grow your business. Website up here, always with the other hand. One of these days I'll get it right. Check them out. Really appreciate them sponsoring this show. So let's pop into our 3 takeaways from our show. All right. Now, the first thing that we want you to take away is the dangers putting all the digital marketing eggs in one basket. So what do we mean by that? We talked about TikTok, right? We talked about how it, it's up in the air right now. And now you can imagine if you invested 100% of your budget and time in TikTok, you're probably a little bit like, oh man, this is stressful and we don't know what's going to happen there. This is the challenge of doing digital marketing. And we just talked about a new tool. Every month there'll be some new tool, spoiler alert. And it's about diversifying, right? What else on this, Hillary, when it comes to the diversification or at least strategizing when it comes to digital marketing?
I would say it's about having a plan from your awareness and turning them into further down the funnel. So taking them from just knowing about your brand to considering your brand and to consider buying from you. So getting their information, continuing to build the trust, putting value first in being able to give them more than you ask from them when it comes to a sale. that's where the goodness of social media comes in. That's where you convert folks. So making sure it's not just about keeping them on Instagram, having an Instagram following, feeling like that's your bread and butter, but getting them on your email list, getting them into your store, getting them to talk about your brand and become ambassador, considering a loyalty program. There's a lot of different avenues that you can take in order to deepen that relationship with them. And that's what I would say. Don't focus on one platform, focus on your business, your funnel, and using those platforms effectively to get them in.
Very nice. Takeaway one. You've learned that. Participate in your privacy. This is related to our iOS discussion and Facebook, right? You do have tools available to you. Facebook does give you tools. Now iOS, again, we have the double gatekeeper going on. iOS gives you the ability to control more of that. Use those tools. It's really important that you participate in what tools and ability that they give you. They may not be perfect, but at least work with what you got for,
Yeah.
And our last takeaway, make content, not ads. This, as we talked about the 20% rule, as they call it, of text going away for Facebook, right? I'm not that particularly shook about it. I don't plan to go out and make an all text ad. I know that option's available to me now. But I think when you're talking about ads versus content, I always look at ads as a subcategory of content, right? Yep. It should be when I work with people and I coach them and I train them or help them with Facebook ads, it's just understanding that whatever is going into your ad, it should still be consistent with the other content that you create.
Yeah.
You want to have a strategy, you want to have a goal in mind, you want to have all these other elements of, yes, creating an ad, but you should still approach it the same way.
People need to see your page 5 times or your brand 5 times in order to increase their consideration to purchase from you. So when you're thinking about it from what they see on the news feed and then what they get hit by with an ad and then what they get in their email inbox and then what they see on, the broadcast, if you're getting PR in your community, and then what they see again on Facebook, that all fits into them saying, I'm going to buy from this company. Yeah. And it's psychological. It's, it's trust, it's relationship, it's hearing over and over again. But that in and of itself, like Ross said earlier, it's not a silver bullet to just put an ad out there and say you're done. You've got to think about it from the holistic picture of how you are positioning yourself in the market, how you're getting in front of your customer. And if you're putting out great content, it's not going to matter if you can target nearly as much because people are going to opt in with your brand if they like what they see and the value that they're getting from you.
And so I'm going to bring up an example as we close the show here. So I worked for a very, very, very long time at Sirius XM satellite radio. And when we were making it was slow, but strategic and thoughtful move over to pushing people to listen online and listen using an app and the internet versus just in their car, right? We did a huge campaign that was around getting people to download the app. It was an on-air campaign. It was an email campaign. It was a social campaign. It was a mailing campaign. I mean, omni-channel, right? And I worked in the digital marketing area, not directly in all the direct mail stuff, but we had meetings and things like that. And we would hear from, some customers on social or whatnot, like, stop talking about that, right? Meanwhile, fast forward, I don't know, 3 months later, 6 months later, it was the most successful ad that we ever did, right? We had huge results when it came to getting people to take action. Now, I bring this up because as you said, it takes 5 times to get to someone, right? And sometimes it almost feels like too much. But the people who are going to, yell and scream about it, they're the vocal minority, I think, in a lot of ways. It doesn't mean you don't listen to them. Doesn't mean we didn't listen to them. But it was by far our most successful because we had a strategy. We kept at it. Yes, we made changes along the way, but it yielded such tremendous results, And so I think a lot of people, conversely, particularly small business owners, they think a one and done approach is going to work, and it's not, because it's very noisy out there.
Even a short approach, what you're saying, with a strategic roadmap of where you want to go and believing in that, rooting that in data, not in gut feeling, but in data, that's gonna work. But if you put an ad out there and in the first week you're not getting what you want out of it, too many people shut it off.
Yep.
And it takes time to see those conversions, but it's worth it. No
silver bullet, no one right answer. I will leave everyone with this. I had a buddy of mine. We were getting breakfast one day. He's a marketer. He owns another agency in town. And he said something that I really loved. And he said, marketing doesn't solve problems. It illuminates them. And I love that quote because it is so incredibly true. I think that people, they approach marketing sometimes the wrong way, that it's going to solve all the ails. And oftentimes what it will do is it will pour salt in wounds sometimes, But if you are committed to your business, if you are committed to growing, if you're committed to improving, then marketing shouldn't be something that you run away from, shy away from. But I think you and I, this is why we get along so well. I'm not a believer that marketing is a short-term solution, just as finance and accounting is not a short-term thing you do for your business. You don't just for one quarter worry about your P&L statement. I mean, maybe you do. That's pretty reckless, but you don't worry about for one quarter, I'm going to worry about payroll.
Yeah.
You don't worry just for one quarter about HR. It is ongoing. And people look at marketing as if it's like, just do it for like a quarter, a month.
I know.
You're only going to get out of it what you put into it when you do that. Doesn't mean you can't have some wins. Doesn't mean you can't be better or smarter. Yeah. But it just means you need, it's an investment for sure.
And the best time to start marketing is yesterday.
100%.
Every day that you wait, you delay that time. It takes time to build trust. It takes time to make a purchase. It takes time to convince people that your brand is the one to buy from. So the longer that you wait, or the longer that you turn it off for, the more opportunity you're losing, because it's a sliding, it goes up and up and up, and you build momentum and you're good to go. And that momentum can go away, and your competitor can squeeze in and take the share. So I'm with you, Ross.
Cool. We're always together. Fist bump from a remote way. Boom. There we go. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the September episode of Rewind. We have more Rewind episodes available on the Tricycle Creative YouTube channel. You can get them there. Hillary, how can people find you? How would you like for them to connect with you?
You can find Social HQ and everything that I'm working on over at yoursocialhq.com, or you can find us on any social platform at YourSocialHQ. And that's where you can find us.
Before we dip out, one last reminder. It's podcast day! So be sure to check out the Tricycle Creative Podcast, Tripod Podcast, and you can find us, pretty much everywhere, at Hello Tricycle. Hillary, I will talk to you for sure before next month, but I thank you again for riding along with me on this show. I hope everyone out there found this to be useful. And as always, we always end the show. I encourage you to keep pedaling.